You Denton?
That's right.
I hear you're supposed to be fat.
You got a good chance to find out?
I aim to. Step away from the bar, please, Mr. Denton. And draw.
Right now you're in a kind of a limbo, Joey. You're neither here nor there. You're in the middle, between the two. The real and the shadow.
This thing could come from witches or sorcerers. It could be loaded with black magic.
And what are you loaded with?
Welcome to Glowburn, a podcast dedicated to the Mutant Crawl Classics role-playing game.
Well, howdy, partners, and welcome to Glowburn, a rootin' tootin' podcast about that there Mutant Crawl Classics role-playing game and good old post-apocalyptic adventuring. I'm Judge Marshall James.
And I'm Judge Mark.
And on tonight's episode, we'll be talking about Dark Trails with our special guest, Judge David Baity.
What's up?
Woo!
Welcome, David.
Thanks. I don't know how to follow up with that opening. It was phenomenal.
Unfortunately, out here in the Weird West, we don't have a shelter, so let's go down into our post-apocalyptic saloon and chat.
Down into the corral?
Yes.
Is that what that was? I thought it was a door to the bathroom.
Same thing. Just close your eyes.
Down in the shelter.
All right, so welcome to Down in the Bathroom. I mean saloon. Okay, it's the shelter. We're in the shelter. It's the shelter. And down here we talk about running MCC, DCC, playing stuff, writing stuff, reviewing stuff, if we have to review anything, shopping for stuff, because we're always buying crap, and then just whatever we're working on, blogging, writing, vlogging, that kind of stuff. But you know what? Before we do any of that, let's chat with David. David, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, man, it's an honor to be on the show. The Brinkmans kicked me off their show, so it's nice for you guys to actually they didn't kick me off. I shouldn't say that. Well, if you're listening, I'm just kidding. And just for the record, I've been heavy into the bourbon today. I've been working on Dark Trails for about the last 12 hours trying to get some things straightened out. So you may get a little off-balanced version of Baity, but let's go with it.
That sounds wonderful.
That's the best version of Baity that I want to have.
Well, I was told by Mr. Walls he was drinking unfiltered Fireball.
I am drinking Fireball straight on ice right now.
And Mark is drinking, what was it, lard?
Pork.
No, pork. Yeah, I thought he said pork, but it's port, which is I don't know what it is. What is port?
It's a fortified wine from Portugal.
Okay, so we've got a snob amidst us here in this cellar here.
Not really.
Stuff.
It just happened to be what was handy and almost out. So I wanted to finish the bottle.
After the world ended, all that was left was the roaches, Cher, and the port.
Yeah, so I should just say I'm drinking fermented toilet water, right?
There you go.
Ew.
Yeah, but thanks for having me on, guys. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
No, we appreciate having you on, sir.
So for those who don't know who you are, why don't you give us the spiel? So who are you and how did you get into gaming?
I am a career firefighter, cresting on 50, which makes me officially a pretty old guy. But I've been playing games since I was probably 8-9 years old. Just never let it go. I've always been throwing dice through one form or another. started out with some D&D and worked my way up through the ranks of Gamma World and Marvel Superheroes, the whole World of Darkness thing, and ended up going through Pathfinder for a phase, and then my brain slowly started to smoke as I realized it was way too crunchy for me. And I sort of fell into DCC. I hated it when I first tried it. What? Some folks may know. I did. I totally hated the whole funnel. I was like, I went from playing an 8th level half-orc thief mage in Pathfinder to a 0 level gong farmer in DCC. So you can imagine there was a slight adjustment there.
It's a little bit of a culture shock, yeah.
It really was. But, I hated it. And for some reason, I don't know what happened, but I went back through the DCC book months later and absolutely fell in love with it. And the rest is history. I wrote Carnival of the Damned and was lucky enough to have Jim Brinkman toss it to John Marr of Purple Sorcerer Games. And we worked out a deal, and he basically polished it up and made it look pretty, and the rest is history.
You know what's cool about that, I have to say, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before on Glowburn or not, but David's actually the reason that Evie, my Judge Evie, our 12-year-old like psycho crazy like DCC enthusiast in the house, he's the reason with Carnival of the Damned that she is so into DCC. There are so many games that she has played. She played Savage Worlds and Cypher System and D&D 4th edition actually one time before that. And her experiences at Carnival of the Damned at a road crew tournament and then getting 4th place. She gets 4th place in this tournament. And she was so upset. She was crying at the tournament because she was in 1st place for most of the tournament and got knocked out in the very end.
Oh, I didn't know there were tears.
She was crying.
Oh, man.
We made some comments somewhere. I don't remember how we got connected, but David sent her a care package of like original art from the module and it's actually framed. I'm looking at the original art, our wall next to the computer, our family computer. We framed it and put it up. So, I mean, really, I have a daughter who's so into this game. And the community, and one of the reasons is you. So it's so special to have you on the show for that reason. Even if Dark Trails wasn't a thing, that's a major reason to have you on. So it's much appreciated.
Well, you don't get a better compliment than that because you got an awesome little girl.
She's a psychopath.
Even though she's demented.
She's crazy. Crazy.
Like father, like daughter. So
you're doing all this writing. You spend 12 hours, say, writing Dark Trail stuff. I remember talking to you last week on the phone, and you were like half naked in bed, sick, probably from too much writing. Are you doing any gaming right now? What are you playing nowadays? Anything?
No. To be honest with you, I ran... the whole thing with Dark Trails, the whole thing it got it started is we had ran DCC for probably a year, a little more, and we were just we were burnt out, but I was just looking for something different to do. So we ran Black Powder, Black Magic, but at the time there was only one fanzine out, or maybe two, and it just wasn't developed enough. So it kind of left us all, I don't know, wanting a little more. So we switched from that to Savage Worlds Deadlands, which is a great system, great game. And we had a good time with that for a few months. But, the thing that Savage Worlds, I guess, makes it what makes it different from, say, DCC or some of the other games is it's not a class-based system. So we kind of missed that with DCC, and I said, you know what, guys, let's take a break. So we took a 2-week break, and I came up with some crazy classes and a crazy idea for a backstory, and that was probably 2 years ago. And my home group liked it a lot, and we kept playing it. I think we played it for probably about 6 months or so. And from there, I just kind of developed it a little bit and tried it, dipped my little toes at GaryCon with it, and people really dug it. So it's just kind of snowballed from there. And I don't know. Wait a minute, that's not answering your question. Hold on, it's the bourbon. What I'm gaming now.
That's okay. Well, this is important stuff because we're going to circle back to this anyway in the next one of the next sections. But no, it's good that we need the backstory, sir. So it's good.
Yeah. Well, as far as what I do now, I basically we do some 5e every now and then. I can't really run a game now with everything that's going on with Dark Trails. So handed it over to one of our players. He's done a really good job. And 5e's, it's a decent game for what it is. So we've had a good time with that. But I haven't been running anything other than what I've done at like Gary Con in the last month or so. So I feel very ashamed for that.
There's no reason to feel ashamed.
Yeah, thank you, James. I appreciate that.
There's no reason. All right, well, Mark, hopefully you're doing some gaming, right? You're doing something.
I've done some.
This is the post Gary Con wrap up for you because you were there.
And was this the show after Gary Con?
This is our first show after Gary Con.
Yep. Awesome.
So David, let's just push Mark aside for a second because we hear from him all the time.
You keep doing that to Mark. I don't think that's very fair to Mark.
No, it's okay. Well, but David, is there anything at Gary Con that you want that special that happened for you that you want to talk about or share? Any tender moments?
You mean gaming moments or tender moments?
Either.
Well, most of the folks in the DCC or even MCC community know Bruce Cunnington, who is such an awesome guy and who makes the pilgrimage across the pond for the last 2 years to attend Gary Con because he loves us so much. And if you ever get to speak to Bruce Cunnington, get him to say the word massage because he says massage. And that's like my favorite word. I can't speak to him on the phone or at a con without getting him to say it. He's like, massage. So anyway, Bruce was there and it was his birthday. So we had a big birthday celebration. I went and picked up a cake for him. And from what I understand, I saw the video of this. It's embarrassing after the fact because I was way deep into the bourbon. And as Jason Hobbs says, he's like, "Baby, you came out," and all I heard was, and he was like, "You sang happy birthday." No one knew what you were saying, and you were screaming and yelling. And the next day, I was completely at a loss of voice. I'm pretty hungover, but I think Bruce had a pretty good night, so that's the important thing.
That's great. Mark, how were your nights at Gary Con and your days? And your gaming in general, because you have a lot of gaming you got to talk about here.
I do have a fair amount. I'll try to be fairly brief with the non-Gary Con stuff. So before Gary Con, I actually went to a con here in Massachusetts called Total Con, which is short for Total Confusion, which actually was not the case. I found it to be surprisingly well organized for a con of less than 1,000 people. And there was a lot of gaming. There was something like 70 to 75 game tables.
That's cool.
And the organizer specifically tailors game submissions after a certain point because he doesn't want the con dominated by Pathfinder and D&D.
Okay.
So once they had about, I guess, 30 to 35 tables of Pathfinder and D&D, anything that came in thereafter, he would look at it and be like, "Oh, it's another D&D game, and it looks pretty generic. I'll put that one aside." And then, like, if something else came in for a different system, maybe that doesn't get played a lot, or that sounded really unique, he lets that stuff through as a priority. So there's actually a really good balance, really good mix of all kinds of different games and different game systems. Oh. And I thought that was really cool, like, for a small con to be able to kind of put their foot down and say, "Listen, we get that D&D is the big horse in the house, or the elephant in the room, or whatever, but we can't just be a D&D con because there are so many other options out there." So I was really, really impressed with it. I got a chance to play some DCC Lankmar with Tim DeShane, which...
Ooh, we're not allowed to say that name here during this podcast. Just, I don't know if it's known to the audience or not, but James Walls has a man crush on Tim DeShane, and I'm very jealous of that fact.
Hey, look, I've seen videos of him on Facebook lifting weights. I mean...
You want me to make you a video? I'll make you a video, Walls.
At this point, I know you're a firefighter. I think we need to have a calendar of the hotness of DCC.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my God.
Give me a few months. I'll be Mr. August, I guess, but I'm not quite there yet.
You'll always be my Mr. August.
Aw.
The judges of DCC.
Anyway, not to derail Mark. Keep going,
Sorry, Mark. Keep going. We don't want to hold you up.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. It's all good. So that'll be something I do next year. It's February 20 and 23rd of 2020 next year. So if you're in the New England area, you might want to pencil that in now. Or if you're in the semi-New England area and willing to make the trip, you might want to pencil that in now. Because I thought it was pretty well run, and I'm looking forward to adding a day or two next year and maybe making more of a weekend out of it. I just went on Saturday this year to check it out, and it was surprisingly well put together.
Where are you based, Mark?
I'm in Massachusetts. I'm about an hour west of Boston.
So you're in Deshane country.
Yeah, give or take. Give or take. There's actually a billboard that says "Welcome to Deshane Country."
I believe it. It's true. It's true.
God.
So 2 weeks after that was GaryCon. I did something like 42 hours of gaming in 4 days.
Hey, GaryCon?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. Are you demented?
No, that was, I mean, not all that was GMing. I only GM'd 8 hours. That was a lot of playing more than anything.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's why I go to these things. Like, I really needed a break from work, and that is the perfect break from work for me, because I basically spent the 5 days not thinking about anything work-related at all.
Yeah. So what all did you play?
So I ran 2 sessions of Mutant Crawl Classics, my Purple Pit of the Mole Men scenario, which is based on a Harley Stroh DCC scenario, Sinister Secret of White Rock. And I'm actually posting my conversion of that on my blog, like week by week. I'm putting up a different room, and you know, sometime in May I should be wrapped up, and you can basically run the full adventure off my blog.
Nice.
I played some DCC, a couple of regular games of DCC, a couple of Umerica games. I got to play in the playtest for Forrest's The Tower of the Flower of Power, where I played a stoner cow. Yeah, it was a pretty good time. I sadly did not make it to the end of the session, because at about the 3-hour mark, he put in a creature which I should have recognized and should have known better than to squish, or try to squish, I should say, because it was a Glowburn creature, and I believe it was a Glowburn creature from an episode that I was in.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
I know what it was.
Yeah, so I got killed by a shock roach because I wasn't paying attention, and yeah, that kind of stunk. But on the bright side, it was like I had just enough time to like hit the dealer hall, and since I hadn't scheduled myself any other time in the dealer hall, it was like, oh, I need this break. I played some Lankmar. I got a chance to play with a Lankmar game with Jen Brinkman, which was amazing.
That's cool.
And that game was notable on top of that because it was the first time I've ever had a spell duel in a DCC game. And holy moly, those rules are crazy fun.
Yeah, rarely used, but fun when you break them out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I kind of get why some people are maybe hesitant about it, because it is a little bit, you know...
it's crunchy. It seems crunchy.
It is a little crunchy, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But the results are really kind of goofy cool. Like, at one point, there was a 3-way spell duel that, like, started to fire off, and... like, so it was like one of the other party's mages, an NPC mage, and me, and I had the lowest initiative. So the two of them got sucked into like a time vortex or whatever, and they ran like 7 rounds of spell duel before I could interject. And by the time they came back out to regular time and I could do anything, the NPC mage had been like obliterated or whatever. So it was just kind of like, whoa, this is wild. And the fact that like you might have the better spell check result, but it might still not work out in your favor.
Yeah.
Like throws this big element of chance into the whole thing, which I really, really enjoyed. So I'm definitely looking forward to, I got to go back and I want to reread those rules and, you know, maybe the next time I'm running a DCC, campaign, I got to make sure I use, more sorceress villains.
You almost have to build an encounter around that mechanic just to make sure that it's used.
Oh, absolutely. I figure if you know your villain is going to be a magic user, like you just got to, you know, kind of bone up and be prepared for that stuff to happen.
And come up with things for the other players to do, because it's like, from what I understand from spell duels, is like there's not much if you're a warrior at that table if you're wrapped up in that duel.
I mean, they don't take a huge amount of time to adjudicate, you know. At the table, I want to say, like, you know, I went to cast a spell. Jen said, you know, that she was counter-spelling, and that's where they were starting off a spell duel. And that first spell duel was like an extra minute, maybe.
Hey, new mechanic. Blood sacrifice. All the players that aren't involved in the spell duel can, like, spell burn.
There you go.
Ooh, I like that.
And add to their mage. Yeah, there it is. We just did it. Okay.
Yeah. There's your mutagenesis for the day.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, that was pretty great. And then let me think here. I played some Call of Cthulhu. I played this 5-table, multi-table GM, multi-GM game of Call of Cthulhu.
How'd that go?
That was really interesting. You know, getting told you got to pick up your stuff and leave the table, and then you get blindfolded and walked around in the dark and dropped in like they set up like this tiny little booth in part of in a quiet section of the convention center, and like there was like a DM who was running just that little booth for players who were basically undergoing interdimensional travel. So it's like I get walked out of my table like I said with a blindfold on, get plunked down in front of this GM, like have maybe like a 10-minute thing with this GM, pulled out of that booth, put the blindfold back on, get dropped at a different table, and I spent the rest of the night at that table. It was wild. It's called Gatsby and the Great Race, and they ran it last year, and I think they plan to run it at, maybe not, I don't know about GaryCon next year, but I think I heard them say they were going to run it at Gamehole this coming year. And if anybody's listening and is into Call of Cthulhu, I'd say get into that game if you can. It was fantastic.
I think actually was walking down the hall when one of the judges for this game had taken a player out into the hall, and just as I was walking by, she literally screamed to the top of her lungs, and I'm pretty sure there was a little bit of a sphincter pucker on my... She scared the living hell out of me. I mean, I'm not talking about an in-game scream. I'm talking about you would think someone was being murdered. So, yeah, I think that was the same game.
Yeah, that sounds about right, actually. It was genuinely, like, the blindfold and being brought to this like other place, and it really added to the mood. It added to the creepiness factor of what was going on and the mystery. And then of course you just feel like you're getting comfortable, and then you get whisked away and you end up playing like maybe the rest of the game with a whole different table of players. Like that's what happened to me anyway. And it really puts you off balance when you get sat down and you're like, you get handed back your character sheet that changes have been made to in like red pen. And you're like, you're now this person, and they put down a thing in front of you and it's got a different picture than the one that you had at your first table, and all the people around you are different, and all the names have been tweaked, and it's like, I went from like a standard, like bog standard 1920s-ish, world to like a 1920s heavily Japanese inspired world where like Gatsby was like a Ronin, and there was all these like there was like a dojo on site and this like Shinto temple and all this stuff, and it was just like everything changed just subtly enough that it really puts you all, on your back foot, and I can't recommend the game enough. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but it was fantastic. If you can get in it, get in it. Beyond that, my MCC game is continuing to roll along. I killed a player last week, or not last week, but last session, I should say.
Good.
Partly through fault of their own, they got into melee range with a guy who was clearly, pretty technologically superior, and then riding on top of a six-legged lizard beast thing, so he kind of had it coming. He did manage to kill off at least the guy, and I think of another one when he like exploded with electricity beforehand, but Forrest's character is still alive. He's trucking along. I think he hit level 3 last session, or maybe he's just about to hit level 3. And we are about to kick off the second half of Warlords of Ataz, probably next Wednesday if everybody shows up on time. So that's pretty cool. And since this won't air until after that session has already been played, they will be ending up in outer space, and I'm going to use the star crawl rules to play with some outer space stuff in orbit around Terra AD.
Wow.
You can crawl anywhere nowadays. You can crawl wherever you want.
I'm basically, like, I call this MCC Unchained. I'm using any and every available supplement, both, Goodman and third party. So Starcrawl, Umerica,
Trails.
Well, once I have it, sure.
And you can call it MCC Unchained Melody.
Oh, man.
Oh.
I'm having flashbacks to Top Gun.
Was that Top Gun or was that Ghost?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's Top Gun. I challenge you, James Walls.
No, Top Gun was You've Lost That Love and Feeling.
Yeah, it was Ghost.
Ghost was Unchained Melody.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
Well, what was it on the jukebox of Top Gun?
That was You've Lost That Loving Feeling.
You jackasses are ganging up on me.
No.
Yeah, no, it was. I remember because...
Yeah, you're right.
One of my best friends in college, when he got engaged to his girlfriend of like 9 years at that point. They were high school sweethearts. We were out at a bar that like did requests, and like all the guys in the group like requested that, and then we like serenaded. Yeah, we serenaded his girlfriend. It was hilarious.
You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips.
Da-dum. Dum 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 dum.
There's no tenderness like before in your fingertips.
All right, we gotta stop. I'm gonna hang up.
Unfortunately, none of us knew the words after the first stanza.
You know what? This is the show where we all sing. Okay. All right.
Well, it's the show where you guys sing, not me. Nobody wants to hear that.
I'm sorry, Mark. I'm sorry.
Into the warp.
Yeah, but that's basically, I think that covers pretty much everything.
That's a lot of coverage.
Yeah, thanks for making me feel infinitely small with my gaming report.
I mean, 11 games in 4 days,
While you're busy writing gaming material for us all to use, I've been gaming like a feed. That's what you just said.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to do it.
That's right.
What about you, Jim? I know you weren't able to make GaryCon, but what else have you been doing?
No, I did not GaryCon. I did get to watch some cool gaming through Judge Evie's eyes, as about a week and a half ago, she ran her first DCC game for friends. She ran the Mall for Crawling Under a Broken Moon and used the Trailer Park Shark Attack pre-gens from Purple Sorcerer. So one of the PCs was an amateur clown. This is their occupation. One was a Florida man, and there were many others, but the most famous was Nick Cage. Because in that those zero level characters, Nick Cage isn't just a name, it's an occupation. Your occupation is Nick Cage.
That's so awesome.
It was hysterical.
So Florida man is an occupation?
Yes. Florida man, snorts bath salts. That's an occupation.
I feel like that should be a whole class, actually. I want to see somebody come up with a Florida man DCC class.
Oh, my God. That is so awesome.
She was trying to explain to them that they get a class after their zero level funnel, and the one player, Nick Cage, comes with a handgun, and they were trying a golden handgun. And they were trying to say that he was going to be a dwarf. They were going to make him a dwarf as his class. So imagine dwarven Nick Cage with a gun and a shield running around. That's where this would have gone if it didn't lead to down the dark path, which was Evie's had a hell of a time getting players to play DCC. She's been trying for the entirety of the year, but everyone keeps turning to her and saying, no, we play Dungeons and Dragons. And she had friends that wanted to play 5th edition, and she pretty much roped them into coming over to play DCC, and which was great and all, but you could tell they wanted to play D&D. So the deal I made to her and her friends, which is like my big news right now, the game I said I would never play, I promised them that if they played DCC and they wanted to try 5th edition still, I would buy 5th edition, learn 5th edition, and run 5th edition for them.
Whoa.
And I broke the internet kind of because I blew up my Twitter feed, and it blew up. I did a YouTube video about it a couple nights ago, a second one tonight. And there, I'm looking behind me. Both Evie and I both have D&D 5e players handbooks and stuff in the house. So we, as of 2 nights ago, we have now played 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. So
whoa,
we've gone down that path.
End of an era.
It's not a bad system. It's not bad. It's not DCC, but it's not bad.
It's not. And I won't give all my feedback here. I will say, if you want to hear our feedback, both Judge Evie and I are doing a weekly vlog now. That's going to, hope by now, by the time you're reading this, or listening to this, we have 4 or 5 episodes out discussing our gaming in general. And we dedicated the first 2 episodes pretty much to 5th edition and those first steps. So if you want to hear our take, Evie is a co-host on that. It is equal partners on this project. It's not just me with a kid on the show. She and I are now co-hosting that show, the Living for Crits show.
Nice.
So
sweet.
And I've got Lankmar coming up this upcoming weekend, and a Road Crew game, because we have our Lankmar monthly game with Mark's in, and it's going to be a good time. Road Crew event the day after that. So,
except apparently I'm going to lose my character.
Yes, I made a deal that if I went to 800 viewers on YouTube, I would kill your character again, Mark. It worked to get me. I got to 1,000 subscribers on your character's head, I think.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that's very fair, but
every benchmark I get to, no matter what we're doing, I'm going to say I can get that benchmark. I will kill a character of yours. So
why me?
Because you're the easiest target. I can't kill David Baity's characters. He doesn't play enough.
There you go.
When I get to 1 million followers, whatever David Baity's game is he's playing in, though, whatever con is in the country, I'm going to fly there and kill his character.
I welcome that. If you want to spend the money on the airfare, bring it.
So let's, now that we've discussed at length our gaming we've been doing, or lack thereof, let's go listen to the voices of the Ancient Ones.
Sounds like a plan.
Voices of the Ancient Ones.
Welcome, everybody, to Voices of the Ancient Ones, where we give you, our amazing Glowburn community, a chance to contribute to the show with your feedback and your comments. You know, this week, or this episode, rather, we've got two transmissions. I picked up this one on a short band radio. Hello, judges. My name is Cliff Hansen. I'm a recent listener to your amazing podcast and a friend of Tim Callahan's of Crawljamer Frame. Hello. I've heard you're looking for some listener questions. Here goes, and keep up the awesome good work. My questions. Have you ever run an RPG crossover between different game systems? Any success or failure stories? Conversion of varying rules? And how did the adventure go, and was it received well by the players? I was inspired to do this after playing the classic Deadlands adventures back in the 90s that crossed over with Call of Cthulhu and Werewolf. I'm currently running a classic Deadlands RPG that crosses over with Dark Heresy and borrows heavily from the novel Guns of the South by Harry Turtledove.
Wow.
Nice.
The game has been going great and is ultra sinister with the addition of Dark Heresy villains lurking in the shadows of the Weird West. So, yeah, thank you, Cliff, not only for your kind words, but for an incredibly timely question, since we have a thematically related to Deadlands guest host, and Jim definitely is going to have some thoughts on this, because he has done something kind of similar. Jim, what do you think here?
Well, I mean, I think on a previous episode, maybe our first one that you were on, we did talk about the Quattro Con Carnage experiment, where I ran the same characters starting in basic fantasy RPG and then into DCC and then Savage Worlds and then the Cypher system. Same characters, 8 games, 2 games per system. So I think, I don't remember which episode was that, Mark, that you first jumped in on. Do you remember?
I want to say we were talking like 14 or 15 maybe.
So at some point you go back, you can hear the details on that. So I've done it. It's interesting. I think the conversion of the rules, we just did it like the players fit the best that they could fit. Yeah. Like it was like, okay, it's time to go to DCC from basic fantasy. It wasn't too hard, but then to go to Savage Worlds and Cypher, there were some challenges. As long as your players are familiar with the systems, the conversions can be fast and quick, especially if you're doing it with DCC. I think it's pretty cool that you, like, well, number one, that you're discussing again, like the Deadlands stuff with David's on. I did play early on in when Black Powder Black Magic came out, and David referenced that, I ran a conversion of Night Train, which I think was by John Goff, I believe. It was a Deadlands adventure for Deadlands Classic. Yeah, remember that was an awesome adventure. You know, a train full of vampires comes into town and holy crap, here comes the fun. Nice. I ran Night Train using Black Powder Black Magic, and it was the same situation as you had, David. I was only 1 or 2 zines in. There wasn't a lot out there. It was just reskinned like DCC classes plus maybe one other one. So, and it was a good time. I think you could easily, I think all this is going to fit into the Dark Trails path when we get to that part of discussing the system in a second. I will say Guns of the South's an awesome book. Anything that involves the Civil War and AK-47s. Because are you guys familiar with that book?
Yeah, I've read it.
No, I haven't.
David, you know what the premise is, David?
No, I don't.
The premise is that these people from the future want the South to win the Civil War. Yeah. So they go back in time and give Robert E. Lee AK-47s. Yep.
Okay, it's an interesting concept.
So, and discussing what it's like to have them facing off against like Northern troops with these machine guns, and then like Lee and several members of the Confederacy figure out kind of why they wanted to do it. I won't do no spoilers. Yeah. It's an interesting alternate history book to read.
Well, Cliff, is that the gentleman who sent the email in?
Yeah, Cliff Hansen.
Cliff, if you could contact me after the show and hook me up with your LSD dealer, I would really appreciate appreciate it, because if you're crossing all these games, my friend, you have a very broad mind, and I would like to talk to you.
This question is totally, and he had no idea what we'd be going into with this session. This is perfect.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, that's just, it's especially throwing Dark Heresy in and throwing what else did he say? Did he throw in the World of Darkness in there as well?
He crosses Dark Heresy, Guns of the South, Werewolf, and Call of Cthulhu.
Jesus.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
He's dying for your Kickstarter, man.
Yeah, my nipples were like glass scratchers at Dark Heresy, and he just took it over the top. So yeah, Cliff, get in touch with me.
Yeah, good
Oh
stuff.
my gosh, definitely. I guess next question.
Yeah, I don't think we can top that.
We can't come back from that. You know, that's yeah.
Now you know why Bob and Jen don't have me on anymore.
No. Yeah, maybe, but you're perfect for this one. Okay, this episode, this show, you're perfect for this show. All right. This is another one of these questions came through from a kind of cross-dimensional telepathy from a world much like our own, but strangely different. Nice episode, Mutant Cousins. I have to say I agree with Mark 100% on his overall reaction to Hero's Journey. Part of me doesn't even remember finishing it when it was my homework stack for Sanctum Secorum's episode 22. Hey, same episode number. Did you plan that? Judge James, thanks for the shout out for Sanctum Secorum, the other home of The Voice. And you called us classy. Judge Mark, your ratty angels are inspiring. I could see writing them up as a full-fledged class, or even using them, even in DCC, as NPCs or villains. Judge Forrest's idea of an increasing initiative for an established party on top of the initiative bonus each PC gets in leveling is intriguing. Maybe let them roll a D24 or D30, or any of the other funky integers in between that are now available. D21, 22, 26, 28. I think that bonus would depend on whether or not new characters are in the party. Maybe someone dies and a new PC joins in. The whole table loses that bonus, or it drops by 1 to 2 dice until they've spent a solid level together, or X number of game sessions. That could raise the level of player investment too, meaning they actually show up to game. Thanks for all you do for the MCC and DCC communities. Keep on burning. We'll miss you, Forrest. Judge Jen. That's really sweet.
Thank you, Jen, for that letter. That was great. We did not, or did we, plan the episode to coincide number-wise with Sanctum Secorum's Hero's Journey episode. We'll leave that one to you to decide. I thank you for your comments about the Ratty Angel. I do think that it would be some sort of variant on the Mutant. And if I have time, maybe I will. Maybe I'll stat something up for the gits and shiggles of it all. Jim, any comments?
I just want to do a crossover episode with the Spellburn crew or the Sanctum Secorum crew at some point. You know,
awesome.
The Mutant Spell Secorum Burn episode.
And throw me in like somewhere in the middle of it.
And we can brang David Baity in.
Oh boy.
I was going to say we could bring David's brain in or something in a jar, but I said we could brang him in. We're going to brang you in.
You can bring it in.
Yeah.
The Dark Glow Sanctorum Spellburn podcast?
Yes.
Yes. Something like that.
I'm glad to hear she didn't finish the book either. It was the talking bear. She didn't say that. David, did you ever read Hero's Journey?
No, I'm still trying to learn how to read.
Don't read it.
Okay.
Jim really didn't care for it. But he also didn't finish it, so I don't know how much of his opinion actually counts.
Well, is he just not like talking bears, or was the book pretty bad?
I've seen a lot of Winnie the Pooh. I never stopped watching that.
All right. Well, I'm going to take that for your word. And yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Pantsless bears seeking honey. I mean, what's
not to love?
It's hard to beat.
That's the next crossover game. All right, well, speaking of pantsless bears seeking honey, let's go on to the Great Disaster with Dark Trails and guest Judge David Baity.
Oh, my God.
The Great Disaster.
Go!
All right, it's time to discuss our Great Disaster. And this week, I know we're being a little silly, but I definitely have to thank David Baity being on to discuss Dark Trails, what it is, why it is. how it is, what it's going to do for DCC and MCC. And it's a different perspective from Mark and myself. Mark, you've never been on any of the Dark Trails, right?
I have not played Dark Trails yet.
And I've got about 8, 9, maybe 10 sessions in, a couple as a player, and then quite a few GMing it. So actually, I think what we should do is let's toss the first question over to David. And you mentioned kind of how it came to be, but what is Dark Trails? So for someone who has no idea about it at all, what is it?
First off, the audience needs to know that Mr. Walls has been a very staunch supporter of the game and has play tested as well as playing. So I really appreciate that.
Heck yeah.
Dark Trails is basically let's just say you threw Cthulhu, the Civil War, and DCC into a blender and kick it up to high speed. What you pour out of it would be kind of what you get with Dark Trails. It's a Lovecraftian Weird West. I've always loved the whole mythos and thought that was pretty cool. And I've loved Deadlands and the Weird West for several years. It actually was a genre that I picked up on kind of later in life, which is really cool because there's so much material to kind of use, to pick and choose from to use in your games. But so to answer your question, when you pick up Dark Trails, what you're going to be getting is a DCC compatible game that is also a standalone game that will dip you into a Lovecraftian Weird West experience.
Wow. It's deep, too. This is not a small, like, you didn't do a zine. And nothing against Black Powder, Black Magic. I don't want to say this like, that's just a zine. That's an awesome, awesome zine.
Yeah.
The folks that put together is fantastic. But you've put together, I have multiple versions printed out of the rules, the playtest materials. And we're talking like thick. We're talking like DCC core book thick, right?
The way it's looking right now, I'm probably going to have to actually trim some of the fat off of it because I think using Joseph's formula he's got a formula that he uses to determine page count. Right now, it's sitting at probably around 500 pages, and that's without the included adventures. So I'm going to have to figure something out. But yeah, this is going to be a book that if you don't like it, you could probably use to club someone into unconsciousness if you wanted to.
Or make them like it by clubbing them.
Yes, exactly. There you go.
Or hold the door open.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck with this. I wanted to make sure that, kind of like Joseph did with DCC, I mean, you get everything you need to play a Weird West game.
Nice.
And on the same note, you'll be able to take it and run with it. If you don't want to run my version of a Weird West, there's tables and all kinds of cool things to kind of help you get started with your own version of it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a fairly big fan of Deadlands. I played the Deadlands CCG for a long time in college, the Doomtown CCG.
Yeah,
I loved that stuff. It was a shame that CCG died. It was a shame that Deadlands always seemed to be right on the verge of exploding into a truly big game, and it never quite seems to make it over that hump.
Yeah.
The original version, and then the Savage Worlds, and now the Savage Worlds Reloaded. So
Shane Hensley is such an amazing guy. I mean, if you ever meet him in a con, he's just, I kind of put him on the same level with Joseph in that he's just a top-notch kind of person, and he's always helpful. And yeah, what he's done with Deadlands over the years is, still around. And if you think about it, there's not a lot of Weird West games for RPGs out there.
No.
So that says a lot for it.
yeah, exactly. So, given that this is a podcast about the post-apocalypse,
It is?
well, sometimes,
Kinda.
Oh, Jesus.
sometimes, that and other inappropriate things.
Pantsless bears.
Bears with pants but no shirts. How does Dark Trails dovetail with MCC, either thematically or mechanically in terms of character crossover? I mean, you mentioned that it's a Cthulhu-esque Weird West.
Yeah.
Is that the world was like that all along, or is there something that happens that Cthulhuizes things?
That's a great question for starters. And just so you know, or for folks who may be interested in the game, there is a section that assists you with converting MCC and DCC characters and rules to the Dark Trails game. Just so you know, Dark Trails is pretty much a DCC compatible game and MCC as well, but there are mechanics that have been added to it to kind of give you more of a Western feel when you're playing an RPG. But it's kind of cool in a way that a judge who's experienced with DCC or MCC, if he used to like one of the mechanics in Dark Trails, he can drop it. Sure. And he can substitute with anything. But the cool thing about the game is, you talk about how can this segue into an MCC game. I had an idea the other day of just having like the whole idea of the backstory of this is way long time ago, and this has been erased from the history of man, so to speak. During the first age of magic, which is kind of when DCC happens, mankind kind of gets a little overzealous, a little greedy, and actually finds a way to port these elder gods into the prime material plane. Well, of course, elder gods being elder gods come in and enslave mankind, and they kill the dwarves, they kill the elves, they kill all the other races. For several generations, mankind is enslaved until these quote-unquote celestials come in and help overthrow the elder gods. And there's an ensuing war where the elder gods are basically placed into a dimensional exile and an eternal slumber. So everything's wrapped up, put a bow on it. The celestials basically erase any kind of history of the event and take away magic. And they leave and thinking that everything's going to be okay. But unbeknownst to them, Nyarlathotep is one elder god who actually was a little smarter than his other kin, who escaped into the Dreamlands with the living relic, which is the Necronomicon, that also has rites and spells that actually have the potential to break his brothers free and awaken them. So Nyarlathotep basically travels through the ages of man, and the ceremonies that need to be performed can only be performed during great terms of strife. So we fast forward to the Civil War, where we have lots of killing. So he drops the Necronomicon in the hands of some capable cultists who head off into the Mexican desert. And that becomes what is known as the 7 Days of Night, which is a period where the cultists are trying to perform these rituals to awaken and unleash the elder gods back into our world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That is...
Yeah, that's probably too much TMI, right?
Something. No, that's fantastic.
But one of the ideas I had, the Mexican desert, which is where these rituals come for some reason, the sand is turned blood red, and the blood red sand actually is creeping into the U.S. territories, and no one knows how to stop it. But when the sand encroaches territories, it kills livestock, it kills the earth, and that kind of feeds into the whole MCC aspect. Instead of the radiation, you could say that's just entropic energies from the elder gods that are leaking through, and you can run with it.
Yeah, so it's like a corruption of the earth. This red sand.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
But I mean, a capable mind can do way more with that. So I think it could lend itself to MCC as well as DCC.
And at the time of this, just to put this out there, the time of us recording, this hasn't happened yet, but in the future you're all in right now, this should be like in prime Kickstarter mode, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping to launch the Kickstarter by mid-April. Don't hold me to that, but I'm working very hard at making this a reality. I've been going through all the boring stuff, book quotes and all that good stuff, and stretch goals, getting people involved with that. But all goes as intended. I would say by mid-April we'll launch.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
And we got a cool video too. I'm pretty sure at least one of you has seen.
I have seen the cool video.
It rocks, doesn't it?
It's pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's pretty damn awesome.
Excellent.
It's one of those Kickstarter videos where you're like, man, I hope the book is as cool as the video.
Did you edit the video together? Was that you, or did someone else help you with that?
My best buddy, Tom Williams, who owns a company called Photo Electric here in Greenville, South Carolina, he actually does that kind of work. I mean, the Carolina Panthers, which is an NFL team pretty close by, they do all the graphics for their boards and stuff. So he's
like you say it close by. We know who the Panthers are, right?
Yeah. So he's very talented, and we basically bought a couple of bottles of bourbon and spent very long hours going through royalty-free footage and all kinds of cool stuff. So I can't say enough about Tom. He was awesome.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, I'm trying to spoil it, but when you see it, it's great how there's new material spliced in with, the old timey type video.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, when I'm always thinking of Westerns, I'm thinking of the kind of stuff that, I'd see on television that was, like I don't say crappy stuff on television. It's not crappy, but, old black and white movies, the TV shows like The Rifleman and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, and then the Ghoul Town, like the writing for Dark Trails for the last 2 years, I have a playlist. If anybody's that you're listening and you want to hear some cool music, like I have scoured Spotify for dark country, and there's a playlist called Dark Trails. But one of my favorite bands out of that is Ghoul Town, and I reached out to the lead singer Lyle, who is really cool, and I asked him if I could use this one song. And like you were saying, it starts out kind of old timey, but then it just kind of it switches into that hard rock mode. But it's still got that that dark kind of southern rock. It really feels like a punch to the balls, which is what I was kind of hoping it would go for. You know what I mean? It's like you go through this whole spiel of what's going on, and it's like you hear the record scratch, and it's like boom. So
nice.
Hopefully everybody will appreciate that.
So what about the Cthulhu mythos made you want to pull that in as sort of like the core dark force affecting the game? I know that it's an interesting take, and it's different. It's definitely very different from Deadlands in the way Deadlands takes it. So what about that mythos? What about the Lovecraft stuff, kind of gets at you?
I think I've always, and I think most people can say this, they love the Cthulhu mythos, and maybe they've read one or two Lovecraft stories, and that was me. And so, I don't know, it was kind of a way for me to dip into a genre that I didn't know a lot about, but that I really loved, and it kind of, I guess,
forced you?
The end result, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say forced me, but it just encouraged me to learn more. So when you asked me that, I think that you have called Cthulhu. At the time, there wasn't Down Dark. Is it Down Darker Trails or Down Darkest Trails? I can't remember.
I saw that book, yeah.
Yeah, there is a product out there for those of you that may or may not know that Chaosium put out, which is a quality product. I've since looked through it, and it's to me, it's a little more, it's less gonzo than Dark Trails would be. It's a great source material. If you were actually running a Dark Trails game, you could pluck some stuff out of that. But I think Call of Cthulhu, from the games I've played, and I've played probably in, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10, the emphasis is on investigation. I mean, there is that kind of end of the game duel and maybe an occasional, but I like spaghetti westerns. I don't know about you guys, but I love just I don't know. When it breaks out into a Western and it's like bullets are flying and you got lead farmers everywhere, I dig that. And I thought it would be really cool to pull the mythos out of the games, the typical games that I've played, and kind of flip it to where instead of maybe 80% investigation, 20% action, you got more or less 60, 70% action and 30% investigation. So there's a lot of pew-pew in this.
In what Lovecraft story do you have cultists being body slammed by luchadors? It's only going to happen in Dark Trails.
Well, you got a point there. But I will say this. If you haven't read The Mound, which is not, I don't think that's a Lovecraft story, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember who wrote it. But as a matter of fact, if you ever play in a con session with me, and the name of the adventure is As Above, So Below, it is a direct tribute to The Mound, which is everything I think Dark Trails. I don't know. To me, it just personifies the Lovecraft, if that makes sense. It's an amazing short story. So if you haven't read it, you need to.
I have not read that one, but I will take a look for it.
It's awesome, and it's a short read, and it's just, I don't know. It's such a DCC-esque kind of adventure. I mean, or a story. There's so much you can do with it. And with Dark Trails, I mean, it was just perfect. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. And that's one of my more, I don't know. That's one of the adventures I've run at con sessions where you get to the climactic finish and people are just looking at you with their mouths are hanging open and they're, I've had some comments to the extent of that. It's one of the most disgusting things I've ever played through as a character. I mean, it's in a good way, I guess, but yeah.
So Jim mentions luchadors, and my question here, I had written a question. This sort of segues into that. Yeah, I haven't played yet. I keep trying, but various ticketing systems for conventions always work against you.
Yeah, you let me know next time, because don't let this get out. Oh, wait a minute, this is a podcast. David Baity always slots his game for 6 people, but he has space for 8. So there you go.
Good to know.
Yep.
But is a luchador an actual class? Are there? I know I've heard about a lot of the crazy stuff that you've created.
Yeah.
What would you say are like the standout custom classes that you've created for this game?
Man, that's a tough question, because I think, in all honesty, anybody that plays a game of Dark Trails will tell you, I think the classes are what make this game. They're crazy. They're all gonzo. Right now, there are 11 classes, so obviously I don't have time to go through all of those. Sure. But the luchador, the whole idea with this whole thing, I think I mentioned it earlier, the cultists go into the desert and they perform these rituals. Well, they succeed in awakening the elder gods, but the elder gods realize they're in their dimensional prisons. Well, the second ritual to break them out almost goes through, but it's stopped by some group of Texas Rangers before it can complete. So the gate's closed, but before it can, all this negative, like nasty taint seeps out into the world, and bad things start happening. Well, the one good thing that happens when all the bad stuff's kind of going around is long dormant ley lines pop. And it's kind of like the Earth's self-defense mechanism, if that makes sense. So it pops and it brings in the second age of magic. And these rare individuals are touched by this energy, and it kind of gives them their all the classes in Dark Trails are pretty much supernaturally kissed. So the luchador is actually this cat who's, practicing his sport, which is like a religion to him. Well, suddenly he actually gains the ability to channel his inner spirit through his mask, and he can do some kind of crazy powers.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
That sounds really cool.
Some of the other classes, you got the Calavera, which is a class where, think of the Sugar Skull, all the Sugar Skull art that you see. This person can actually see and speak to the dead. And, when you can talk to dead people, you're kind of important to them, because they can say, hey, would you mind going and telling such and such that, I don't know, I'm sorry I did this or whatnot. So the Calavera, which is the class, is actually cherished by the dead, the restless dead on the other side of the veil. And they actually will rise up and protect her or allow her to channel some of their abilities. So kind of a spooky supernatural thing going on there. So that's the Calavera. I will say this, the wizard class in the DCC game, let's see, there is the Bedlamite and the Mountebank in Dark Trails. So if you are familiar with how the spells work in DCC, there are these 2 classes that are kind of cool in that their abilities work much like the DCC spell. The Mountebank is kind of like the snake oil salesman who gains the supernatural ability to actually start to make potions.
Oh.
So, yeah, there's, I think, 50 potions that work very much like DCC. So you've got this Mountebank who can craft potions and actually throw bombs, make acids and adhesives.
Nice.
And then you've got the Bedlamite, which is this, think of the Mad Tinkerer who creates these devices and contraptions that shouldn't work, but through sheer will of force, actually enables them. So like the Bedlamite may have a bulletproof duster or a clockwork familiar.
Cool.
So they're all over the place. The classes are just kind of crazy.
Nice.
But it's a great kind of crazy. That was what I remember for Gary Con 2 years ago when I was talking to, I think it was Michael Bolam,
who is a luchador, a closet luchador.
He definitely, he gave me he's a big wrestling fan. So he gave me a little bit of the backstory and something about luchadors. And we both have run demos of Dark Trails at the game store in Pittsburgh we played at. Before I even played Dark Trails, I told him I was signed up for Gary Con. He's like, you will be so excited to see these classes. This is a game that takes the DCC classes and gives you some really colorful, deep characters. You know, I mean, these, I don't want to say they're more powerful than a regular DCC character.
Well, they probably are.
They probably are a little bit.
At least at first level.
Yeah. But I mean, there's some, like, I mean, you're able to recreate pretty much just about any kind of like trope. You know, the Mystic Monk. If you want to play like Shanghai Noon, you have and one of a couple of sessions of ours, we had someone essentially who was playing, what's his name, John Wayne in that movie. He goes by like John Wan or whatever, and he's you know, Jackie Chan's character is like the Mystic Monk. You know, and you've got your with the Tommy Knockers, The Walking Dead, right?
Yeah. The whole thing with the Tommy Knocker is during the 7 days of night, which is when all these rituals are happening. There's all kind of like astral phenomenon, including like an eclipse that lasts for 7 days. Well, no souls actually pass over to the afterlife. So those souls are either wandering the spirit world, or B, they're so damn stubborn that they actually force themselves back into the body and kind of serve as like a coal furnace to animate it. So you've got this dead guy walking around, but in essence, he's not such a dead guy. So
very cool.
What kind of new mechanics did you throw in? Like, what kind of examples of new mechanics can you give us you threw into the game that make it like really different from DCC?
Well, I think the first, to me, the most important thing was the gun mechanic, because you definitely want something that hasn't been done already. I think there's an issue of Crawl magazine where it's actually, they've got rules for firearms, which are really good. And then you've got the exploding die mechanic that was used in, I think, Black Powder, Black Magic, as well as Deadlands. So I didn't want to, I kind of wanted to come up with something on my own. And so the gun mechanic, I think, is something that most people will find is, I don't know, maybe something that's different. And you know what? The cool thing about it is, if you don't like the gun mechanics, you can just swap it out for a mechanic that you do. If you like Crawl Magazine's rules for guns, then it works just as easy. So you've got the gun mechanics, and then you can't have a Cthulhu-esque game without Fear and Madness, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
So I kind of worked on that for a while, and I think we've finally got it ironed out. But the idea is that the mechanics are there for you to, I guess, to come to fear, but it's not quite as harsh. One of the things that we've added, or I keep saying we, I guess it's me. One of the things, there's nobody else doing this. If it sucks, my cat came up with this rule, just so you guys know. So write Sadie some hate mail if you want to. But the sanity mechanic works is there's a new stat. If you're used to DCC and MCC, there is a new stat called grit. And grit is just basically your personality and your stamina added together and divided by 2. And if you think about it, when we suffer stress, it's usually emotional and physical stress. So this new stat actually measures a character's current ability to handle stress before he breaks down. So the fear mechanic kind of lends itself to the grit, to where if you make a grit check and you fail it, you're going to lose some of your grit points. But the cool thing is they'll come back at the end of the adventure. So let's just say you're playing a typical DCC module and you finish it. Your character during the downtime would actually replenish his grit stat. The only bad thing it might happen is if you reach 0, it would be permanently reduced by 1. But it's a little more forgiving, I think, than some of the sanity mechanic with Call of Cthulhu. So you've got the Fear and Madness mechanics, and other than that, there's boons and hexes, which are kind of fun. It's probably similar to Lankmar. In all honesty, I haven't read Lankmar yet. When the Lankmar playtesting went out, I actually signed up for it, but it was kind of around the same time I decided to develop Dark Trails. So I didn't have the time to put into that. But the way boons and hexes work, real simple in a nutshell. If you roll a perfect 20 on an attack roll or an initiative roll or a skill check, then you get a boon, which is like a poker chip. And if you roll a nat 1, you get a hex token. And the way those work are, boons can actually be spent to, you can add like a +1 die modifier to attack and damage rolls. You can use them to reshuffle your gun deck, which is, I haven't gone into the gun mechanic, but you actually have decks of cards that you use as gun decks. The one thing that I had a hard time coming up with is, if you're familiar with the DCC system, you'll know that the heavier armor you wear, the higher the fumble die. And in the Weird West, not a lot of people wear armor.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it works is you start out, depending upon what class you play, you have a fumble die. And if you have 2 or 3 hexes floating around and you fumble, then when you roll on the table, you have a -1 die modifier for each one of those chips. So it kind of makes up for not wearing armor, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I would say those are probably the 3 main mechanics that you would get with Dark Trails.
Cool. So, if your character can obviously go crazy, go mad, at least temporarily.
Yeah.
How deadly would you say this is compared to other DCC? Is it about on par? Is it a little more? Like, Lankmar's a little bit less deadly than standard DCC.
Really?
A little bit. A little bit. The fact that you can basically spend a point of luck and take an action in combat to heal a hit die worth of damage kind of helps to assuage some of the lethality of the system a little bit. So I'm kind of curious, is this more or less? I would expect with firearms this would be more or the same.
Well, I can tell you, most of my games, firing into melee is a true joy for me. Because you've got like half the group are those folks that are like, no, I'm not going to fire into melee because I don't want to kill the luchador. But then the other half is like, he'll get out of the way, I'm going to fire. So most of my character kills come from other party members blowing their friends' heads off.
Those are the best kind of kills.
Yeah, and that's when I get so giddy, because I'll be honest with you, if you ever play in a game where I'm running it, I have the worst rolls ever. I can't kill a player to save my life. So it's kind of cool when somebody else does it for me. But to answer your question, I would say it's probably maybe a little deadlier, just because firearms are obviously, deadly. And if you think about it, when you start out at first and second level, your hit points are a little lower. So you're carrying around a firearm that typically does, a decent amount of damage. And if you crit, then it gets even worse. So I think probably will be a little more deadlier, but I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I just realized this year, after running DCC for more than 2 years, that I've been handling the cleric wrong. I have, when they roll to heal and you get that result that maybe 3 or 4 dice, I've let them roll all those dice as opposed to limiting it by the character's level. So these games I've been running with Dark Trails with my home posse, they're in for a rude awakening when we break it back up.
I think just to add the notes of character deaths I've seen in this game, I think that to speak definitely to David's point, I remember witnessing the demise of a monk, the mystic monk, running into combat, kind of like, facing off with something. I think it was undead I had at the table, and the monk's like, I've got this. Runs up to go into hand-to-hand combat, just like the most epic scene ever. Totally, it was straight out of Shanghai Noon. And then a PC behind them takes a shotgun, tries to fire into melee, and kills the monk, And the way it worked, it just looked just like that. Imagine, like, I've got this, guys. And, bam, dead, Yeah,
there you go.
And then the other one was watching players play the game who were not familiar with kind of like shooting rules. Don't stand out in the middle of nowhere, just the middle without cover. Like, if you have just one gun, don't go out in the middle without cover when you're facing off with like outlaws who all have guns, because they're gonna shoot you, So, I mean, it's one of those things, like if you're a typical fantasy player used to like bows and arrows, you aren't being shot at with bows and arrows in this game. You're being shot at by guns. It's definitely different.
Yeah, and you learn real quick.
Well, because you saw your friend die. Yeah, you learn quick.
And if you guys dig or hate the gun rules, the gun stats are pretty much being worked on by Mr. Walls himself.
So we know who to blame.
Yeah.
Mr. Walls just tinkered with them last week. That's all.
Yeah, tinkered? No, you did more than tinker, my friend. But yeah, he's been
how much you took from my tinkered.
You've been instrumental with me because I know absolutely nothing about guns other than how to load one and shoot it.
What's funny, because you asked last week, you're like, "Are you ex-military or something?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I'm just from Pennsylvania." Which is pretty much everyone here.
I figured you were like ex-military, the way you talk about guns, but no.
No, I don't even hunt. I don't even eat meat, you know? I mean, like, no.
He could hunt vegetables, but there's no sport in it.
Those damn gourds won't even move.
I've got a couple really cool World War II rifles. I could probably kind of like pull the R. Lee Ermey from that show on History Channel and kill some watermelons, you know? Because he used to have that, whatever that show was.
Mail call.
I love mail. I love R. Lee Ermey. R.I.P., brother. So I'm going to ask you this question because you did it as a typo, and I threatened I was going to ask you. So, like, spoiler alert, David sent us a couple questions some suggestions to ask him. And the one he asked with typo, but he has to answer it the way it is. And given the way he is such a lover of the feline kind, how is Dark Trails different from a typical game of Call of Cthulhu? Meow, meow.
Well, in Dark Trails, if you kill a cat, you probably are going to run afoul of some really bad luck because I have direct connections to Bast, who is god of cats, and we don't take too kindly to that kind of thing. You know, in movies like horror movies, it's always the cats that get it. You ever notice that?
Yes.
You remember Drag Me to Hell?
Oh, yeah.
What did they boil?
That was a crazy movie, man.
A cat. They boiled a cat. It's never puppies, which I love puppies. Don't get me wrong. But it always seems like the scapegoat is the poor cat. So I take it.
You're a cat guy, though.
I am a cat guy. I adore my cat. So
I don't know if anyone, if you don't know this, like every year, it's been 2 years in a row now? It's been more than that.
Yeah, 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah, you've run you tell, what have you done to support feline kind every year? It's really worthwhile.
You know, if you guys are listening, you go to a pet store, I guarantee there's been a day when you've gone there and you've seen people sitting there with cats or puppies in cages trying to find them a home. And I just finally decided one day to stop walking by and just ignoring it because, of course, we all have hearts. If we stop, we'd be sucked in, you know, with no save allowed. But I can't do what those folks do. I can't foster cats and because I just get too attached. So I didn't let that be an excuse. And I collect things through the years, signed books and RPGs and all things that nerdy folk like us love. And then I do a charity raffle, and $1 gets you in and you may win it. And it's a ton of stuff. I think you guys, well, I know, Jim, you probably are. I don't know, Mark, are you?
Yeah.
I've never won anything, but I have no problem. I've never had a problem tossing in, but I haven't won anything yet. Next year.
And it's amazing, man. I mean, it's amazing. The support. In the last 2 years, we've raised over $3,000, and it goes to these folks around here who basically dig in their own pockets to take care of feral cat colonies. They catch and release. They make sure they've got food, and then the animals that are friendly, they take them and they keep them they foster them basically until they're ready to be adopted. So I can't say enough about people like that because I couldn't do it. I would be a ball of tears every day.
And who's the organization?
Feline Lifeline is the recipient of last year. The young lady who was doing the first 2 years, she actually retired. She was in her 70s, and I can't even imagine doing it now. You know, could you imagine being 70 years old and chasing stray cats and people calling in? And the thing is, it's like, and I get it, someone's going to call you like every day, more times than one. Hey, I got a cat. Can you help me? Then you feel bad. So I can't say enough about people who deal with this on a day-to-day basis. So if you're in the neighborhood somewhere and you're listening and you can do something, you know, help these folks out, man, because they really do deserve it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my public announcement for the show. We went from pantsless bears to cowboys and Indians to
saving kitties
to cats. Yeah, I think we should hug now. We should hug.
Can we hug through the internet?
Podcast hug.
So to wrap up, how can, you know, again, we're recording this prior to there being the existing Kickstarter, but Can you seed us with some information to share now for folks?
I would be happy to seed you all.
Seed us.
The most active community is on Facebook. G Plus was pretty active, but as we all know, unfortunately, G Plus is going away. I'm still trying to figure out is it MeWe, or PP?
It's MeWe.
Okay, MeWe.
I'm not on there, but it's MeWe.
I'm trying to figure that out. Twitter totally blows my mind, so I've got a buddy who's going to be working on that. But Dark Trails RPG on Facebook, and sign up, join a group, keep up with us. Let me know if you listen to the show. I'd love to hear from you. But there's also a website, www.darktrailsrpg.com.
Nice.
Or you can call me, but I probably shouldn't give my number out here.
I wouldn't recommend that.
I wouldn't give it out here. No, but I mean, it's up to you.
But seriously, if anybody's listening and you're interested, if you got any questions, reach out. I'd be happy to answer them for you. I think you'd dig it.
That's super cool. All right. Well, let's take this into the mutagenesis portion of the show then.
Mutagenesis.
Welcome to the Mutagenesis. This is where we take something from media or other game systems and we take a stab at converting it for MCC use, or we come up with a new rule, or God only knows what. Sometimes I wonder. So this episode, we're going to start off with our guest, David. What kind of craziness do you have for us?
Well, it's kind of funny because you guys were talking about, I think a mechanic that Forrest was working on dealing with initiative, and it immediately popped in my head that, one of the things that is kind of cumbersome about combat, at least initially, is everybody rolls initiative. They're looking at their sheets, yada, yada, yada. What if you just have one designated person, start out with the person on the judge's left who rolls initiative, and then every player adds their agility modifier to that one die roll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I got a little tingly when I said that. I don't know. You guys did.
And the advantage there is then the team is going more or less together, and they have more chance to work as a team together.
And if the person who rolls a really crap initiative, the players can give the stink eye, and that's kind of cool when you're behind the screen watching other players give that one player the stink eye.
Yeah, of course, if you roll a natural 20, then you might be the one who's feeling a little stank. No, I like that idea. I like playing with the initiative mechanics, at least for convention games, especially because, it's one thing if it's a home campaign, you don't mind maybe taking a little bit extra time figuring out who goes when. But at cons, it could be kind of game stalling sometimes if you're like, all right, which one of you guys is next? And I've seen a bunch of different solutions for that, and so far none of them are the right one. So this might be an interesting thing to try next con game I run.
I like it.
What do you got, Jim?
All right. I needed to stat this thing up for an upcoming con game or series of con games. So if you're playing with me at Gen Con, you may or may not see him. Some call him the fun new orange mascot of the Philadelphia Flyers. Others call him pure nightmare fuel. And I call him the perfect mutagenesis creation. And I bring you Gritty.
Dear Lord.
So Gritty is a foe to be faced in your MCC games or DCC or X-Crawl or wherever.
Or Dark Trails.
Yeah. It's got +3 in it. Yeah, Dark Trails. Imagine Gritty from the Philadelphia Flyers should live in Dark Trails. I could definitely see someone bring him back in time just for that purpose.
Is this that mascot that looks like Hubert, the video game character?
Yeah, pretty much. He's a nightmare.
Okay, cool, yeah.
So Gritty has an initiative of +3. He attacks you with his giant belly bump, which is a +5 melee attack that does 2d7 +4 damage. He has 2 googly laser beam eyes that do, you roll 2d16. He attacks with 2 laser beams that do 1d10 damage each. Again, another +5 to attack roll, because why not?
Can those hit separate targets?
Yes.
Nice.
Armor class 15, 10d6 hit points. So his movement is variable. He bumbles like an idiot. So every round he moves 2d4 times 10.
Oh, I like that. I like it.
So 2d4 times 10 feet per round. He acts with either a d20 or his 2d6 googly eyes. Saves are +5 fort, -2 reflex, +2 will. But what makes Gritty is his special power, which is called Gritty's Return. You see, just like a favorite movie of mine from childhood that scared the living hell out of me, Pumpkinhead, whoever kills Gritty becomes the next Gritty, as that player temporarily loses control of their character and the PC forms a giant orange cocoon. This happens within seconds, and the cocoon is impervious to all damage or energy sources. It hatches the next time the Flyers play in real life. So based on like what time of year it is, you might be waiting a while for your character to appear. Better have a backup character in mind.
Oh my God.
When the PC emerges, he's Gritty. He has everything else about his character he had before. He could be a manimal, like camel or whatever, but he actually is Gritty. He has the belly bump attack he gains with a 2d7 plus strength mod and damage, and there's googly laser beam eyes and the wonky bumbling movement. His armor class is up by 2, but he can't wear armor because he's Gritty. Gritty can stay in the party, but to use D&D terminology, he's chaotic evil. Even if there's no alignment in your games, Gritty is chaotic evil. If someone kills Gritty, a new Gritty returns. If it's not a PC, use the stats I gave you before to create a new Gritty.
Oh God.
So expect to see Gritty at a Gen Con near you.
I think I need to ask you for your LSD provider.
I get it from my 12-year-old daughter.
And you should have added in there, he's got a special weakness for organ music. Like, he's paralyzed while organ music's being played.
That's pretty good.
Oh, man.
What you got, Mark?
So I have a rhetorical question for you, Jim. What happens when a mutant subgroup with the stable mutation so that they all possess holographic skin find historical texts from before the Great Disaster about the sacking of Rome? You get Invisigoths. A rampaging horde of barbaric mutants who can blend into their environment that is both fun and dangerous. So think like mutant versions of Predator who have based their society on the Goths and the Visigoths. These guys love to stage ambushes. They use their invisibility or their holographic skin to reconnoiter enemy camps before attacking. Regardless of how they get used, I think a fiendish judge should be able to get a lot of mileage out of these guys.
Absolutely.
They have initiative +7 because holographic skin. They either use a sword or a spear at +4, doing d6 +3 damage. Or a short bow at +3 for d6 +2. An AC of 13, but again, holographic skin. 4d10 hit points, a 30-foot move, and a single d20 action die. Their saves are +3 fort, +4 reflex, +3 will, and they have the holographic skin mutation guaranteed that they check at a +4 on. And I would say that their alignment is sort of chaotic. They tend to be sort of a force for stealing into camps and taking equipment while the party rests, or, potentially staging ambushes while the party is exploring. Like I said, I think you can get a pretty good mileage out of these guys because even though they're not super tough, the holographic skin's going to make them pretty deadly in combat.
Nice.
I feel so insignificant after listening to your two entries there.
Yeah, but this is what we do, man. So we're supposed to do that. We're required. You're a guest. Okay. You just sit back, relax, and sip that bourbon. So I think we should take this into the closing section then.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, well, first off, to wrap up the show, Judge Mark and I want to give a very special thank you here to David. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, and we were so glad to have you on.
Here. Thank you much.
Hey, it was a blast, man. Thank you guys for having me.
And, so long as everything in the multiverse is normal here, at the time of this airing, you should be able to go find the Dark Trails Kickstarter and go pledge your heart out, because there are years of David's blood poured into this game, and we all want a bloody game, really, when it comes down to it.
Yeah. I like that. I love it.
Speaking of Kickstarters, there should also be out maybe around this time or just after. There's a new Kickstarter coming out for Reed Sanfilippo's American Survival Guide with some additional tidbits. I believe something that Judge Forrest is working on. So that should be cool. Want to get your game on but lack a GM, or maybe you're a GM and dang it, you want to play for once, like maybe on your birthday, you can now hire a judge and get a dinner at the same time at Stormcrow Manor in Toronto with the DM and Dine program.
That is awesome.
Yes.
www.dmdine2.com. We'll have that link in the show notes.
Yeah, and Daniel Bishop is one of the GMs that you could potentially hire on to run a game for you.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is a really cool thing. I mean, there's been a lot of hybrid game stores opening up across the U.S. There's a lot of, pubs that also do gaming. Like, you can basically rent or borrow a board game or have a private room for your D&D game at the pub. And this is sort of taking that sort of to the next level, right? So I really love this idea. I would love to see more of this stuff opening up and the gamer culture continuing to sort of overrun what's out there. So I thought this was cool and was definitely warranting of a mention on the show.
Definitely.
That's awesome. As to upcoming cons, at Gen Con 2019, I'm going to be running 2 sessions of X-Crawl Dungeon Battle Delco. Takes place in the Philly area for DCC, and 2 sessions of Neon Knights. And Judge Evie will be running the Mall for a session.
And I'll be at North Texas Con, so if you guys that are listening want to get on some dark trails, look for me. I'll be there.
When is North Texas Con? That's in June, right?
Yeah, I think it's like the first weekend of June.
Gotcha.
Are you going to be at Gen Con, David?
Yes, I will be there as well. So I haven't entered my events yet. They won't be. I did submit them with Taco because I wasn't sure I was going and I wanted to get things planned. So the event should be up there within the next month or so. So I will be there and I will be running 2 or 3 games of Dark Trails.
Sweet.
Perfect.
Sweet. I will also be at Gen Con.
Sweet.
I've got 4 sessions of MCC. I'm going to run 2 Assaults on Sky High Tower and 2 Warlords of Atos. And I think I'm doing that like a game a day. So in theory, you could potentially come in and play like a first level character for Assault on Sky High Tower on one day, and then bring that character to Warlords of Atos, and I would help you level him up and get him ready to play the level 3 Warlords of Atos the next day if you wanted.
I'm doing all my games on Thursday and Friday. So I'm doing 2 on Thursday and 2 on Friday, and I'm going to have try to stack the middle of my convention, because we'll get there Tuesday, stack the middle of my con with all of the hardcore gaming on that side, and then just go relax and hang out and do crazy crap on Saturday and Sunday.
I'm also getting there on Tuesday, by the way, so we should definitely hang out on Wednesday.
Absolutely.
I like to parse mine out a little bit, though, because that's how I roll.
That makes sense.
Contacting us. David, how can people contact you?
Real simple. If you are on Facebook, just reach out to sign up for Dark Trails RPG, or you can friend me, or you can write me by email at darktrailsrpg@gmail.com.
Okay. You can reach the hosts via our Twitter account at Glowburn. You can reach us via email at glowburnpodcast@gmail.com. You can read the show notes, which I try to get up on the same day or within 24 hours of the episodes going live on glowburn.blogspot.com, the affectionately named Glowblog. And you can find me at InspStrikes on Twitter, and InspStrikes.blogspot.com is my blog, where all kinds of stuff gets posted, including the Purple Pit of the Mole Man.
Yeah.
Jim, what about yourself?
You can find me at I Live for Crits, and since I'm really not blogging anymore and I've decided to take this whole thing on video with me and Judge Evie, you can catch us hopefully weekly over at Living for Crits on YouTube. So it's a weekly live stream. We're going to try to have one every Sunday night. And just watch us go crazy. It's going to be some crazy shows.
Special thanks to our shaman of intros, outros, and bumpers, Bob the Voice Brinkman. Our patron AI of audio-visual engineering, Hector the Missile Cruz, who somehow manages to make us sound good consistently. Our creative advisors, which is the Google Plus community, currently 368 and shrinking thanks to Google, but still XXX strong. The intro and outro song is by Chronox, it is off the Voyager album, and the song is called Juno. Any parting words, David?
I just want to thank you guys for having me, and for anybody out there who's thought enough of the game to give it a run or sign up for the con session, I appreciate it. I know a lot of folks are waiting on this, and they've been waiting on it, so it's happening. So just sit tight and keep checking the social media, because it's going to launch hopefully any day now.
Awesome. Jim?
Gritty watches you as you sleep.
And I'm just going to say, Annie, get your gun, because there's tentacles coming out of the whale.
Yeah, and they're chasing pantsless bears.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Ariel, Ookla, ride!
Blood of your enemy makes you stronger.
This has been a Hectophonic production. The gun is good, the gun is good, the gun is good, the gun is good, the gun is good.
Well, I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.